Don't cry, don't cry.
No.
Don't cry.
So sad. This is the most I've invested
assets.
in.
So Nicole.
Oh.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Uglywood Company Podcast.
We are your hosts for today,
Glennard
and Nicole.
So Nicole, what are we going to talk about today?
Today we'll be talking about the
Podcast
podcast
season
season
finale.
Yay!
No.
No.
Okay. So, by the time this video airs, right? So this will be the 10th episode of our podcast. So we have been uploading for the last 2.5 months.
Oh, it's been 2.5 months.
It's been 2.5 months. And
wow.
But I think for us, it felt even longer than that. So our first episode we recorded sometime in December 2023. No, 2024. Sometime in December 2024. But the prep for it has started, I think, I want to say early October, November period. We've been talking about like kind of the assets, like what things look like.
But the idea of a podcast has been started since like 2021.
Yes, the idea of the podcast started sometime almost during COVID period.
Yeah. Just nice yesterday my friend was asking me, why did we decide to do the podcast? Or why did we decide to do a podcast? I told her the idea of like you had this idea of wanting to start a podcast like in 2021. Then we only really started doing it.
So the version that it was in 2021, it wasn't for the Uglywood Company. It was only just the two of us chit-chatting. I forget, there was another title for it.
And it wasn't for Uglywood Company.
It wasn't for Uglywood Company. So the first one we were talking about like current events or like what's happening on the news. There was a version we were talking about like, because we have a lot of conversation inside cars.
Oh yeah.
So we were talking about, what if we had a podcast?
What if we started a podcast? No, then the moment we're out of the car, we got nothing to talk about.
Yeah, the moment we are outside the car, we suddenly have
nothing to say.
Yeah. So I think the past 2.5 months has been like a very
tiring,
difficult experience.
Yes.
But very novel experience, I have to say. I think to your credit, right, this is the hardest you have ever worked on Uglywood Company.
This is the most I've invested
assets.
in.
Yes. I think despite stepping down as the Chief Marketing Officer, you have been the hardest working staff for the last 3 months. So for that, you will get a Gold Star and an Employee of the Month award. Yay!
Get a Stella Star.
Get Stella.
Confetti. Adding more things to edit. No, I'm not gonna do all those. I don't know how to do.
Okay, so we decided to take this episode, right, episode 10, to talk a bit about kind of like what our thoughts are on this podcast. So if you remember what we said in episode 1, we actually said, okay, we are going to release 10 episodes as our first trial run, just to get our feet wet, just to get us used to the idea of recording, used to the idea of editing, used to the idea of a regular upload schedule. So maybe I will ask Nicole, what is your thought? What are your thoughts on kind of this entire process, this entire experience?
I would say that what you say is like a very unique experience. So I think this experience also kind of opened my eye a bit to video editing. So I did video editing last time when we were making the very first dining table we had. So that was using like some free video editing software. And that one did not have a lot of like creativity added to the video. But I would say this podcast allowed me to be rather creative. Like it's really, you gave me the full creative ring to it.
Yes.
And the thing is, through editing this podcast, I also somehow realized I quite like video editing.
You discover
I discovered somehow
video editing is my passion.
Like a passion sort of sense. So it's like, I think if we didn't do this, I wouldn't have really realized how much I like it. I kind of realized I think I like video editing from editing TikTok videos. But that's like
which is also quite recent, to be fair. It's like no more than 2 years ago when we started.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
But that one is very short form videos
Yes.
and not much things to be creative about.
Mm.
Because I mean, given the limitations of the app also. Yeah. So what was your question again?
What are your thoughts?
So
How was your experience?
those are my thoughts. Experience. Very tiring. So how my schedule is like, as an editor, I will come home on weekdays after work, and then I will spend some weekday nights to do the editing. So, and the thing is, you keep telling me that can you just make it down to one day. I keep saying no because because the thing is I don't want to rush it all out in one day, because okay, you have seen me edit one whole day before.
Yeah.
I got very tired.
At the end of the day.
I got very tired from afternoon to evening. And I'm like I will start to have like headaches and all those.
Yeah.
So if I were to really do the whole video in one day, which actually, technically, if you add up the individual hours I spend per night, right? I think one day, the full 24 hours, I think I can do it. Because each, like, okay,
So with no sleep, no eat.
maybe,
no
yeah,
bathe.
maybe no sleep, no eat. No, you still have sleep, but no eat, no bathe. Because each cut I do, I take about 3 hours, I would say. So I do 3 cuts, so that will be 9 hours, non-stop 9 hours. So technically one day is possible, but I feel like I will burn out even faster, I think.
So
Yeah.
maybe before we move on to that, right? Let's talk about video recording. Then we go to
Okay.
video editing. So what are your thoughts on the video recording process? How are your thoughts on being on camera and speaking and all those things?
At the start, it was definitely very awkward. Like, I think it's not so bad doing a podcast, because at least we are speaking to each other. We're not speaking to ourselves in a room, like if you were to film a YouTube video. I think that
Yes.
will be even more awkward. Then
Yeah, I think I recall
Yeah.
we when we in the TikTok kind of social media,
oh yeah,
we were thinking of how do we make new content, right? And we tried speaking to a camera directly,
Yeah.
like front facing camera.
so awkward.
We never found like what is the right spot to get it
Yeah.
a natural way.
Yeah. It's always very
So
manufactured.
we struggled a lot. I think the worst one wasn't that we couldn't speak. We could, but we always sound very monotonous, very
not
flat
natural.
tone, very unnatural.
And also because we had scripts prepared, so it's quite weird to, in a sense, you have your script, right? And the thing is, it's very hard to, like for me, it's very hard to memorize script. So I will have the script like in front, but then the thing is, I will keep looking at the script and end up not looking at the camera itself. So you can clearly see my eyes not looking at the
jumping,
camera. Yeah, I can clearly see my eyes not looking at the camera. So like it like kind of takes that. It removes the naturalness of it. Oh, and another thing, like from recording, right, I still have this constant fear that we never switch on the cameras.
I think that's normal. I think that's
it's like we'll record halfway, then
unavoidable
it's
fear.
like, did we turn on the camera?
Yeah, that's an unavoidable fear, I think, because our cameras are such that we cannot see the monitors. So
except for the main
I
screen.
wish I can film what our setup looks like, but we literally are using our phones as our backup camera 2 and camera 3.
I mean, I can do it post-production.
Then you would have one camera missing.
Oh, yeah.
You can, the only way to show it is you hold a mirror.
I can use my work phone.
You can use a mirror and then show everything.
Mirror.
But yeah, like essentially that's kind of what we went through. But I think, like, to your credit, right, I think you have become a lot more natural and a lot more confident in speaking. I think that just these 10 episodes alone, I think we have slowly started to find kind of what your voice and your tone sounds like across the 10 episodes. If you go back to see episode 1, I think not a crazy amount of difference, but definitely some difference you can spot. Yeah. Okay, so we spoke a bit about kind of our general opinions, thoughts about the process, right? So what about the reception? Like, now that we have released it into the world, how do you feel about the success that the podcast has found? Success.
It's still less than 50 views per video.
Yeah, we're still looking at less than 50 views a video.
So hello to all the 50 people watching. Or the 20 to 40 people watching.
Or the one person watching.
One person watching 20 times. Yeah, I mean, okay, I don't know if it's very ambitious to think that we will actually have a lot of viewers, but I mean, like, we're nobody.
Yeah.
So then it's like,
There is nobody eagerly waiting for us to release something.
yeah.
So I think the fact that we have even 20 to 40 people is quite amazing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what I need to remind myself, right? And I need to remind you, right? Is we don't record this podcast for the sake of
being internet famous.
entertaining a wide mainstream audience. I always need to remind myself, right? Like, this podcast is intended for a few things. One being to improve our on-camera presence. Two being almost an educational podcast. And three being almost like a challenge to ourselves.
Oh.
To see whether we can do this kind of content creation.
A hashtag podcast challenge.
I think, I mean, no matter what, right? Like, as people who are on social media, even though we are not successful, it's inevitable that you compare yourself to like successful people. People like 1K, 2K, 100K, 500K. It is inevitable. I think you need to tell yourself, you need to remind yourself, right, that at the end of the day, right, let's be very frank lah. Even if someone who finds our, even if we can put our podcast in everybody's front page, we may not get the reception that we want. Because just because you have views doesn't mean you have interest or engagement. So I am okay with a low view count if it means I also don't have to deal with the headache of negative comments.
Oh.
So that's how I see it. Because for me, this podcast helps to consolidate and solidify a lot of my thoughts. A lot of thoughts that I will kind of share with customers, but it's on a very kind of bits and pieces process. It's not a very, I don't have a very clean, argument about how I feel about this. There's still a lot of topics we want to talk about, but at this point, right, that we don't have really a lot of avenues to put this kind of long, complex, advanced thoughts. Like, imagine our last
long video essays.
Our last conversation about the the profit, revenue, cost, expenses, all those things. We can't put that in a tight 1 minute social media video. Imagine our previous conversation about pricing. We can't put all those small things, all those things into small packages. All we can do is, we just like yap, and then if whoever is interested, I hope you enjoyed the process. If you're not interested, then it's okay, because I think a part of it is just kind of like letting us understand the process a bit more.
Yeah. But those kind of info that you want to put out, right? Then what made you... Okay, then let's put this out there. What made you choose to do the podcast format and not a video format? Like a video essay kind of format?
Okay, so I think...
like, why did this happen?
I do... okay, so we did think about a few different formats of how do we kind of verbalize some of the thoughts we have, right? So podcast, obviously you're watching what we are doing now. We have also considered a very scripted video, so a very kind of, everything cuts here, cuts there kind of video. We also thought about blog articles or web pages. Right. We also thought about social media or like, graphic posters. So a bit about what we've tried in the past. So we've actually done some blog articles and some kind of slideshow social media. So like Instagram, TikTok, they allow you to put up to like 10 slides or whatever. And we've made versions of that, right, where we are talking about things like, let's say, sustainability, or we talk about things like the formaldehyde and sustainability.
Oh yeah, or we
Right.
talk like the basic like woodworking tips.
Yeah, we
that
talk
kind
about
of thing.
woodworking tips, right? So they look like a bit like, a bit of text with some nice images. And I think those have never performed well enough. And we have never particularly enjoyed that process enough for us to continue doing it. And I think those in particular, right, because when you put it on social media, it's very easy to compare and contrast with like, oh, my uh, my other video about workshop and the client's experience is doing like reasonable, like 1,000, and then this is doing like 6. So it's like that comparison is very easy to say, okay, let's not waste our time. And like it will, and because we never let it grow, right, it will never reach an audience it was meant to reach.
Yeah.
The podcast, on the other hand, right, because there was no apples to apples comparison, number one, so you don't feel so bad if it doesn't perform well. We know that we have shared it with our most recent customers as well as our friends and family.
Yeah.
So we know that they are the ones watching.
Yeah.
So I think, I think that like that alone to me feels very gratifying, knowing that we get to share what we do on a daily basis with some of the people who are the closest to us, lah. I think that's number one. But the other is always the process. I think this is a more natural way of verbalizing that information.
Like just having a conversation.
Yeah, and to that end of having conversations, we do want to reach out to whoever's watching this, right? And we want to ask you to send us more questions, send us more of your thoughts, send us more of your feedback. We want to hear what you guys think and what you guys want to know, more importantly, about what we do. That will help us really solidify, I would say, the next season, if we have the next season. If we have the next season. Okay?
We'll think about it.
We'll think about it, yeah. But I think maybe one interesting thing to share with the audience, right, is any particular stories about people who have given us feedback about our podcast.
So there was a period of time when you were actually looking for an intern or like a part-timer. So then I had an intern from my work who was just finishing up her internship, and then she actually expressed interest in like she wanted to find a part-time job.
She wanted to look for additional work to get more
like
money,
before she goes to university.
get more income.
Yeah, to get more income. So then I just casually dropped her the idea of, oh, do you want to come and work at our studio? Like just as a part-timer, as an intern. So then actually she was rather interested. Like she reached out to Glennard, and then like it was, you guys set up like a Zoom call.
Yeah, so we had a Zoom call ready like in 1 week's time.
Yeah. So then like on the day of that Zoom call, like a few hours before, she actually texted you and say she's pulling out of the interview. And the reason being is solely because she saw one of the clips that we have posted on TikTok.
From this podcast?
Yeah, from this podcast. And I don't know if she's watching this. But yeah. So it's like she actually pulled out because of something I said in a previous episode about why I'm kind of like stepping down from the company. And then she said that because she wanted to pursue a internship or part-time job that is more closely related to what she has passion for, which is like analytical science and all those. Yeah. So I found it like pretty shocking, I would say, that like, because I have never seen myself as someone who can influence another person. So I was pretty shocked to hear that like she, after seeing what I have said, right, then she has given it more thought and then she decided to pull out from that. Yeah. But I can understand where she's coming from.
So it's time for you to update on your LinkedIn, right? Like you can put /influencer.
No,
you influence one person, so you can. I have never influenced anybody before. So I cannot put influencer, but you can put influencer because you influence one person.
I don't want to be that kind
So I think that story feels very bittersweet to share, right? Because like on one hand, right, it's like, oh, okay, we know that our podcast, or at least the clips from our podcast, like has some reach and has some
it showed up on her FYP.
Has some it showed up randomly on her FYP. She wasn't following us.
Yeah, she wasn't following us.
So on one hand, it has some impact on a viewer. On the other hand, that
you lost an
impact
intern.
is negative on us because we lost an intern.
You
so
lost a
like
potential intern.
you know, yeah, but I remember. Okay, we were together at the same place when like that message came, because we were still planning like, okay, do we need to rush home for? It was a 9 p.m. late night kind of Zoom
9
call.
or 10 p.m.
Yeah, it was a late night Zoom call. So we were thinking like, okay, we finish our dinner, should we rush back? And then like literally as we were about to take the train, we got that message lah. And we just look at each other. It's like
like she texted you first. Yeah. Then after that she separately texted me. So I asked her in more in depth like why she.
To be fair, she messaged you to apologize.
Oh yeah.
She didn't like you didn't like immediately go and chase her like, hey, how come you reject my husband's studio? Like no, she messaged me to say she want to reject, and then she messaged you to say apologies for
rejecting this thing. Yeah. Then she gave me like the full answer of why. Yeah. And it was because of the podcast.
Because of what we shared lah.
Yeah.
So it we know that it is getting somewhere, but it's quite it's a very unique feeling for that to be the first kind of like on the street experience, so to speak, on the ground experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, how do you feel about this podcast now that we have reached the season finale? Now that we are going to take a pause, whether it's definitive or indefinite pause, for this podcast at the moment, how do you feel?
Is it in terms of anything or just?
Is there anything you have to share?
Okay, I would say that the filming wise, right, to be honest, is tiring, but I would say that it's quite fun to some extent. Yeah. Then also, but I'm still quite sad that like not getting the views. I think like to me I'm still kind of like chasing that view.
Yeah.
Sorry, chasing the view.
Don't cry.
No.
Don't cry.
So sad. No. Oh no, but then the thing is also that I think what we set out to do with this podcast, which I think afterwards we can talk more about it, is we actually wanted to use this podcast to generate more like clippable moments. So then because every week I'm kind of like rushing the editing so that we can push out videos weekly, we don't really have time to do those clippable moments, to like look through the podcast and then clip out areas of interest for social media.
Yeah.
So I think that is something that that I didn't realize we will actually have no time for. I honestly thought like we'll have some time to do that, but I'm quite surprised how zero time we have actually.
I think every time we are doing this podcast, right, it's like on the wire. We have always finished on a Saturday. So
on a Sunday.
Yeah, we either finish on a Saturday night or a Sunday like afternoon, and then we upload
on the Sunday itself. Yeah.
So one of the things we will be doing, right, as we take this pause, is to reassess kind of how the pipeline on our end works, how our workload will work. In this case, we have received a few kind of suggestions. Why not make it a bi-weekly podcast, or things like
so that I don't die.
Why not just have a more streamlined production process? So many suggestions. We're going to go through all of them and then rethink how we do the podcast if we want to come back to the podcast in the first place. Yeah. So I think that's what we will be doing. Okay, but before we get to the end, maybe we just share a bit about, before we started the podcasting, what were your expectations, and like was there anything you wanted to get out of the podcasting process?
So for me, like I would say my personal goal was to kind of like improve my speech. So in terms of speaking in a more professional way and also speaking slower, because in order to kind of help me in my own professional life, because I'll be doing more presentations. So in a way, I want this to kind of help me to improve my English speaking skills with less Singaporean accent.
A bit like practice like that lah.
Yeah, it's like a practice. But the thing is, the Singapore accent still come out. So
Yeah, I think you and I are similar lah. I think we both have this desire to improve our speaking.
actually, your speaking is not bad already.
Okay, so I'll tell you specifically what I'm looking out of this particular practice.
Yeah, then what do you want to get out of this?
I am trying to remove as many filler words as I can.
Ah.
So your okay, your like Singlish wise, I think I'm at a level that I'm okay with. Because I have learned that I can code switch if I'm speaking to a different audience. But I think filler words are the challenge. And side by side with that, right, similar to what you said also, is speaking slower. I think there is a tendency, right, especially when you have a lot of information to give, you want to speak faster because you are like kanchong.
Yeah.
But the goal, right, is really to remove as much filler words as I can, as well as to speak slower. So that is from a recording perspective. From kind of the overall process perspective, right, I had wanted to extract more content out of this podcast and then use it as a more integrated marketing campaign. Right now, okay, so what that means, right, is essentially the podcast is between 40 minutes to 1 hour, and we have really a lot of like nuggets of information inside, clippable moments inside. We do feel that it is generally more dense than any of the content we used to do. Most of the content we do, right, in terms of social media, in terms of graphics, it is one and done. It is you do this one video, you want to do another video, you have to re-record. The podcast has a lot of things you can pull out information from. But I think we have not worked that into the workflow sufficiently.
Which is what I say about like we like surprisingly don't have time to do the social media.
A lot of it speaks to editing, right? A lot of it speaks to so much time is spent on editing that we cannot do it in a kind of more intentional way. So that's something I'm looking to fix during this pause if we do come back. But that was something I thought, I think like you, I thought it will be a very straightforward thing. I think it will be like, oh, you have the podcast, you have the whole script, you can just, pick and unpack certain clips and, do all those things. But we've just not found the time because of the tempo of the uploading. It has not been easy. We tried recording in multiple batches. So we record 2 or 3 or 4 episodes at one time.
Yeah.
We have tried recording 1 episode a week. Neither of those have worked, and we will kind of discuss it and really see what we can come up with. We will circle back and we will hit the ground running. So let's not drown the sea.
No. Okay. Then in that case, right, so we just now said what we initially wanted out of this podcast. So do you think you have achieved those goals? So other than the social media part, because that one clearly we didn't achieve.
Yeah.
But in terms of your personal development, like your speaking, do you think you have achieved that goal?
Okay.
Is it okay already?
I know for a fact that my filler words didn't change much.
If you notice, right, if you watch all the episodes, every time he will start a paragraph with okay.
I know that I have not removed the filler words as much as I have liked.
I probably made a compilation.
I think that's fair. I think it's quite funny. But what's more important, I feel, right, is I want to be able to, or rather, I have not had the chance since we recorded the podcast to record a face-to-face social media reel.
Or like
facing
the
camera.
vlog kind.
Correct. Yeah, the kind where I'm like speaking. Hey guys, today we're gonna cut some wood.
What's up, gang?
Yeah, so I'm not done that yet. And my
that is
hope,
very hard. That is very hard.
my hope, right, is that like we spend so much time looking at a camera lens, like we spend so much time looking down a camera lens that hopefully in the near future when I try to work something out, I can do it more smoothly. Or even if I cannot do it more smoothly, right, at least I can find a format that works for short form content.
Right,
Whether it is just literally the two of us and I hold a camera like that or whatever. At least I want to be able to find a format that I can use to record shorter clips or shorter content. I think we have not had the chance to try. Again, right, going back to the schedule, we don't have the luxury of time to record any other social media other than that. The only thing I've recorded other than this is during my workshops when my clients are working or my students are working, I will just like film them working hard on their cutting. And then that's it. So that is something that I will try and I will report back if we are successful or not.
You can see it on our TikTok.
Yes, so follow our TikTok, follow our Instagram, and then you will see whether I make fun of myself on camera.
And also subscribe to our channel.
Okay, so we covered kind of more or less most of what we want to talk about season 1. So what are our plans after this season?
I would say that we'll do that meeting like that, like the moving forward kind of meeting, and we will take a month break, like 1 month break.
So here are some facts.
And kind of like consolidate everything.
So here are some like clear facts. Confirm what happened.
#facts.
We will definitely take a 4-week break, hiatus from uploading podcasts on this channel.
Yes.
Okay. We will continue to upload shorts and clips onto both here, YouTube, and on our TikTok and Instagram. So we will start, extracting clips. The things that we were supposed to do the last few weeks, actually. But we will do that over the next 4 weeks. Okay.
So don't unsubscribe.
Yeah. So keep subscribed.
We'll still be back.
Yeah. Then the next one is we will have our own internal meeting and discussion to see what is the best way we can both, maximize the most out of this podcast content, but also do this in a more healthy, sustainable way. I think
it always goes back down to finding a sustainable way to work.
Yeah, the whole mission of Ugly Company, right, is really to find a sustainable way, healthy way of working, regardless of whether it is working a corporate 9 to 5 or it is working in any other medium. We always try to be looking at it long term, right? So that is the two main things we are going to discuss internally during the break. Actually, we will be discussing the day we upload this video. Yeah. So we will. We don't know the conclusion of that meeting yet, but we will find out. By the time you watch this video, then
probably make a post.
So those are the definitive facts, plans that will happen after this episode.
Yeah.
What is less clear is whether we will continue with this podcast or how we will continue with this podcast. So we might choose to continue this podcast at the same upload tempo once a week, Sundays. We might continue to upload it, but on a bi-weekly basis, once every 2 weeks. Or we might choose not to upload at all. And then we will just do short clips. Do you have a preference you want to let the audience know first? Okay, never mind, you don't have.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't have.
Okay, yeah. So we will get this sorted out, and then when we come back, if we come back, you will see us more energized, more ready to go.
Maybe some new toys.
Maybe some, maybe this bench will be substituted out with more other friends. But I think that's it for this episode. So we really want to thank everyone who has been watching up to this point.
Wait, before we end, what are your thoughts on the podcast? Do you think this podcast is successful in what it's set out to be?
I think it is too early to say. I think on a personal level, I think it has succeeded beyond what I initially expected, because this was a very difficult process. This was a very difficult endeavor. It's always difficult to start something new.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that you and I have both found just the right amount of motivation and discipline to get it done,
Yeah.
I think that alone is success. I believe success is not just about numbers and statistics. I think success is just about showing up. And I think we have showed up 10 times out of 10.
Damn, put that on a t-shirt.
So to that end, I think we have succeeded. We have showed up. In terms of statistics, in terms of numbers, of course, we have not succeeded to the point that business has changed. Our discount code at the end of every episode has still not been used at
Do
this
you
point.
guys know there is a discount code at the end? If you have made
and
it
also
this
there's
far,
a discount code at
if
the
you have made it this
subscription.
far, our discount. I'll put the edit here.
Yeah.
If you've made it this far, thank you.
Yes, that's what I was saying. Yeah, so you made it all the way up to 10 episodes. Please
And also up to
comment
this
and let
point,
us know that you have watched all 10 episodes.
up to this part of the video.
Yeah, comment and let us know you have watched all 10 episodes. We'll give you an even bigger discount code. But yeah, I think we really want to thank all our audience for joining us on our journey. It has been very, very interesting, very, very up and down.
Very eye-opening.
Very eye-opening. But I think ultimately, I would still find it fun. I think I would still find it fun. Yeah. And so with that, thank you very much. And before we go, we would like to give our lovely listeners some unsolicited advice
The final unsolicited advice.
for season 1. Okay?
Or is it?
Or is
I
it?
don't know.
Jang, jang, jang. Okay? Yeah. So we sorry, my brain freeze. So
fun.
this week, Nicole will be giving the unsolicited advice for this week.
So to end off this podcast season, to give a more positive note, my unsolicited advice will be, remember to love yourself and love whoever you want to.
Aww.
Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Okay, bye. Thank you for listening to the Ugly Wood Company podcast. In the meantime, if you're interested in booking our services, please go to our website at www.uglywoodcompany.com and use the coupon code UWC Podcast for 10% off. That's UWC PODCAST. Links in the description.